lady is in.
It makes you feel as if anything's possible, and that's a great feeling.
Do you think you could grow up to be governor someday?
Yeah.
I, Ann Richards, do solemnly swear.
For Richards' swearing in, the crowds jamming the Capitol steps rose to their feet and roared when she took the oath.
That I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of governor of the state of Texas.
Of the office of governor of the state of Texas.
And will...
She talked of a new Texas where education, ethics, and financial strength would all take priority.
We are going to clean this government up, and we are going to make it financially lean and responsible to the people that it serves. Just get ready for it.
And believe it or not, that was just the first half of this very hectic day for the new governor. She did get a chance right after that to take a brief break for lunch, to have lunch with her family, as a matter of fact, while many of her supporters had a public lunch out on the Capitol steps. Then things got started again, and that's where Debbi Johnson picks up.
Yeah, today was a day, Melanie, as you know, that thousands of Texans have been waiting for a long time, and no one was shortchanged who attended today's inaugural celebration. Although the day started on somewhat of a somber note, by the afternoon, things lightened up considerably. Although earlier in the day, the governor-elect walked down Congress Avenue with several thousand of her constituents, after the oath of office, the new governor of Texas rode in a horse-drawn carriage to open the official inaugural parade. While some poked fun at the state's first female governor since Ma Ferguson, most of the entrants were honored to be a part of history in the making.
I've never seen so much happen all at once. A lot of things going in the world I only see on TV, and I see it all here at once. A lot of people are showing their feelings, and it's really great.
Milby High School Marching Band was one of over 100 entries from across the state from Houston. The other, Texas Southern University's own Ocean of Soul. Thousands of spectators lined Congress Street to witness the event, some as colorful as those in the parade.
It's a great sweatshirt you're wearing. Thank you. A friend of mine in Houston made it. It's really been a big eye-catcher here. I bet it has. Made it just for this occasion? She sure did.
Others on hand spoke with optimism of the changes they hoped a new governor would bring.
We have about as good a chance as any to get education back on track with Ann Richards.
And that being a priority issue with Richards, she addressed the school children of Texas from the governor's mansion by satellite and had this message for teachers as well.
I know that too often policies have been coming down from state government without even asking your advice. And my commitment to you is that we're going to change that.
The governor wasted little time in letting people know what will be the priority issues in her administration, but I think the priority events of this evening are the 4 inaugural balls that have yet to take place. Our Alvin Van Black will be covering those for you live tonight, and he'll have reports on that tonight at 10. Shara and Alan.
All right, quite a day there, Debbi.
You bet.
Thanks a lot, Deb.
You bet.
Still to come, more coverage of the Gulf crisis and tonight's UN deadline.
Well, coming up next, the rockets get clipped in L.A. again.
Nobody beats Home Depot. Nobody. Home Depot will beat any price, any store, any identical item, any day. And low prices are just the beginning. Home Depot proudly carries a huge selection of Makita power tools. Choose from over 20 models of versatile Makita tools that bring a professional's touch to any job.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you feel right at home.
It's Red Lobster's 19 shrimp and steak special. Sizzling scampi, fried shrimp, plus a juicy steak. 19 shrimp and steak, just $9.99. Hurry to Red Lobster.
It's Red Lobster's new lunch menu.
Right now featuring our lunch shrimp combo.
Just $3.99.
Tempting scampi and fried shrimp.
Plus potato and salad for a limited time.
Just $3.99.
At Red Lobster for lunch.
Service Merchandise says get it done in 91. The DP Ergometer Air Resistance Stepper, now just $239.92. It's the perfect mix between upper and lower body aerobics. DP's Ergometer Exercise Bike, now only $239.92. And staying fit is a walk in the park with DP's programmable Life Strider treadmill. Now just $599.96 at Service Merchandise.
Final buzzer went off in L.A. last night. The Rockets were right there with the Clippers, but
they didn't lose it. They just ran out of time.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, well, they lost it.
Overtime.
Yep. Rockets left L.A. 0 for 2 with the Lakers, and last night the Clippers in overtime. But for a loss, hey, it was a pretty exciting finish. Take a look at some of it here. Late in the fourth period, Norman hits, and the Clippers go up by 3. 1.2 seconds to play on the inbounds. David Wood for 3. Bingo. Tied at 112. 0.4 of a second to play. Buck Johnson fouls Ken Norman. Stupid foul. He missed the first shot at 2, and he missed the second. The game goes into overtime. And in overtime, after an intentional foul, Wood gets shoved by Norman after he tries to help him up right here. Get out of the way. That was a technical foul. Clippers up by 3. Wood is going to nail yet another 3. With 26 seconds left, Rockets are down by 2. Kennard Winchester is going to hit a 3 off the bench. Rockets down by 1. Wood will try another 3 for the win. As you see the clock running down, no, it clangs off. Rockets lose it, 130 to 126. We told you at 5 there's a chance naval reservist David Robinson of the San Antonio Spurs could be activated in the event of war. And the situation in the Middle East is also on the minds of athletes who will be playing this weekend. The Buffalo Bills host the Los Angeles Raiders in the AFC Championship game.
If it doesn't happen or the war doesn't break out, I think the guys over there get a chance to see a very exciting football game. You know, I understand that they get tape delays of the game, so it will give them something to look forward to. But we're hoping, and I'm like everybody, hoping that the war doesn't break out. But
we just have to go on about our business, and I'm sure they're going to do the same thing. When they sit back here, they want something they can look at and watch. I'm sure they want to see us still playing football.
I just hope the situation gets cleared up before it really comes down to war. It's something we try not to think about, but, I mean, how can you not think about going to war, actually going to war? This is 1991. You really wouldn't think about war in this day and age.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Willie Brown has been named the head coach at Long Beach State, replacing the late George Allen. Brown was an assistant under Allen at Long Beach. Brown's 50 years old. He played 12 years with the Raiders. He's considered one of the best cornerbacks to ever play the game. He was a 7-time All-Pro. Well, Carl Lewis had his problems last week. Today, Ben Johnson is in the news. Johnson was charged with assaulting a female runner, Cheryl Thibodeau, who has criticized Johnson during his comeback. A witness to the incident said she saw Thibodeau in a physical confrontation with a man and said the man's hands had come away from her throat and the man had threatened her. Thibodeau has criticized Johnson's training habits, saying that he stays out too late dancing and he's being beaten out of the starting blocks by high school sprinters. Johnson returned to competition Friday night after finishing second in a 50-meter sprint in Hamilton, Ontario. Johnson surrendered to police. He was released on his own recognizance. On a brighter note, one of the most unique pitching matchups ever will take place April 2nd, Disch-Falk Stadium in Austin. The Texas Rangers are signed to play the Texas Longhorns, and the starter for the Rangers will be 44-year-old Nolan Ryan. The starter for the Longhorns will be 18-year-old Reed Ryan, Nolan's oldest son. Reed doesn't quite have Daddy's fastball yet, but he's considered a pretty good prospect. Should be a lot of fun in Austin that night. April 2nd, Disch-Falk Stadium. Don't miss it.
I can feel a sellout coming on, don't you know?
I think you're right.
I think I'd like to be there myself.
Yeah, be fun.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Okay. Still to come here, Ed Brandon on the calm after the storm.
And Marvin gets a different perspective on the Gulf crisis.
Exercise is an attitude about yourself. It's not a craze. It's not a trend. It's an attitude about life. Are you going to get in there, and are you going to fight, and are you going to do something where you're in control of it? There's a payoff for me, and I want that edge. I don't want to lose that edge.
Resolutions don't cut it. Exercise does. President and First Lady. Start now at last year's rates, pay nothing for 30 days.
Wednesday afternoon at 3, confronted by a diabolical vision, Leonard Nimoy unwillingly enters the baffling world beyond reality.
You have got to come with me.
Where?
And to save that woman.
Perhaps we have met before.
A woman, a girl, they're all here. Mystery Suspense Week continues with Baffled, Wednesday's 3 o'clock $1 million movie here on 13.
Hi, folks. Mattress Mac here.
And Mattress James.
And if your mattress is older than 10 years old, you should throw it out and come to Gallery Furniture's fantastic factory-authorized Sealy Posturepedic sleep set sale. Wow, what a sale on twin-size mattresses for the young people. Queen or king-size sleep sets for the adults. Whatever size you want. Sealy Posturepedic, the world's #1 seller, is on sale. Gallery Furniture.
We will save you money.
Now that's a chip off the old mattress.
The heavy rains that pounded Houston last night caused severe damage to other nearby areas, and for folk living along the Trinity River in Liberty County, the worst is yet to come. Pictures from Sky I-13 today show the devastating aftermath in Columbus, where a tornado touched down last night. Mobile homes were overturned, several were demolished, and trees toppled everywhere. In all, some 9 people were injured. Closer to home, in the small community of Stagecoach in Montgomery County, a close call for at least 2 motorists whose cars plunged into a nearby creek this morning. One car was carrying a mother and child.
Then this morning about 6:30, the lady tried to come through over there, and she and her baby, the car swept away, and they managed to get out and get on top of the car, and about 2 hours later, they got her out of there.
Another man managed to swim to safety after his car plunged off the road into Walnut Creek. As we said, for folk who live along the Trinity River in Liberty County, the worst is yet to come. A voluntary evacuation warning has already been issued. The Livingston Dam is releasing water at 66,000 cubic feet per second, and by Thursday, the river is expected to crest, flooding nearby subdivisions. Residents are being advised to call the emergency management in Liberty County at area code 409-336-8981 for more information. And folks in Liberty, here we go again. Brace yourselves.
Yeah, we don't need more water. Are we going to get it?
Not in the next couple of days, for sure. We're going to start by looking at just how much rain fell last night and to prove to you that thunderstorms cause sometimes tornadoes and sometimes heavy rain, but not necessarily both at the same time. Over in Columbus, they had officially 91/100ths of an inch of rainfall, and they had the worst tornado last night. There were scattered tornadoes around the area. 2.96 inches in College Station, almost 3 inches in Tomball. That's the official measurement. Just outside of Tomball, in Magnolia, one of our viewers reported 5.2 inches of rain. 2.3 in Alief, almost 4 inches in Westbury, about 1.25 inches in Freeport, 3 inches on Galveston Island. Quite a bit of rainfall last night. No rainfall today. As a matter of fact, a beautiful day, and we'll look at that. We'll start with the statistics for the day. 47 our low this morning, 59 the high this afternoon, 1.39 inches of rain officially at Intercontinental Airport. At 6 o'clock, it's 55 degrees out there, 57 here at KTRK, and at Hobby, relative humidity 69%, winds northwesterly at 7. High pressure is continuing to rise. That's because we have such good weather, or we have good weather because high pressure is continuing to rise. This is the way the clouds moved across the area last night. This very heavy band of rain you'll see, that's what moved rapidly through our area at 25 to 30 miles per hour most of the time. This afternoon, we have a surface area of low pressure in Arkansas, another one in Louisiana, frontal systems and troughs attaching those low pressure areas. On the backside of the low, northwesterly winds are pouring into Texas, bringing dry air, and generally a very nice day. Temperatures this afternoon in the 60s and 70s in the southern part of the state, 40s and 50s in the northern and central portions of Texas. As the air continues to dry out and skies continue to clear, we will have a cold night tonight. As far as the rest of the country is concerned, the bad weather that we experienced here is now moving over into that part of the United States. We'll put the clouds on top of these surface features, and you can tell that the clouds are arcing around that low pressure area. The thunderstorms are heaviest along the central Gulf Coast. We are also watching a developing area of upper level low pressure in the western part of the United States. That has to do with a developing surface low in the southwestern part of the country. Low temperatures tonight around the United States will range from the teens and 20s in much of the north and Midwest to the 30s and 40s in most of Texas. Tomorrow, we'll continue to see that low pressure area develop in the upper levels, and we'll probably have a surface low by tomorrow afternoon. That'll cause a lot of snow from New Mexico and Arizona all the way up into portions of Wyoming. It'll be very slow to move in an easterly direction, so we'll have another couple of good days. High temperatures tomorrow should range from the 40s in North Texas to the 50s and 60s in the southern part of the state. Fort Galveston Bay, things will improve tonight. Waters will be rough tonight, slightly choppy tomorrow. Offshore, seas will run 6 to 8 feet tonight, 3 to 5 feet on Wednesday. Our forecast calls for a clear, cool night with a low of around 39. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 64. On Thursday, partly cloudy, low 40, high 58. By Thursday, we'll have a 20% chance of rain, and by Friday, a good cloud bank, lows in the 30s, highs in the 50s, and the chance of rain goes up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Ed, keep your eye on it. Thank you.
Well, 3 officials of the Palestine Liberation Organization were assassinated last night in Tunisia. 2 of them were top PLO leaders.
Tonight, Action 13's Marvin Zindler talks with the close friend of the men who were murdered. Marvin.
That man is Houston businessman David Ammett, who I have known to be a supporter of the PLO for years. I felt an interview was warranted at this time by a man who knew the victims personally and who also is a close friend of PLO leader Yasser Arafat. Mohammed Ahmad, also known as David Ahmad, is an Arab-American U.S. citizen. He's a successful businessman, owner of the Magic Island, and a developer who has been in Houston over 30 years. You've been a supporter of the PLOs for, I know, 15, 20 years. Are you still supporting the PLOs?
Yes, I am.
Tell me, how long have you known Arafat?
Oh, I've known Chairman Arafat, Yasser Arafat, for approximately that long, approximately 15 years.
I've seen pictures that Arafat was the best man in your wedding.
He was.
David also has been a friend of 2 of the 3 top PLO officials who were assassinated in Tunisia yesterday. Abu Dayyad pictured here with David's family in Tunisia, and Abu Dayyad's aide, Mohammed al-Omari, on the left. Did you talk to anyone after the murder?
Last night I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning talking to many people, including the families.
When's the last time did you talk to Mr. Abu Dayyad?
The gentleman that was very close to me, Mr. Abu Dayyad, the one who was assassinated last night, I talked with him last month, as a matter of fact.
And he is second in command to Mr. Arafat?
Yes, to Chairman Arafat.
David belongs to a moderate faction of the PLO, Al-Fatah. He says allegations abound that Abu Dayyad spearheaded the terrorist group's Black September.
Of course, he has always denied that, and they have never really been able to pin it on him completely.
This is your friend.
This is Abu Dayyad, the one who was assassinated yesterday.
Do you think that the Palestinians and the Israel will ever get together?
I sure hope so, Marvin, because I see no other way out. You know, and one last point on this subject in here. That is the crux of the problem in the Middle East. You know, we in America have always talked about the domino theory. Well, I'm here to tell you, Marvin, that there is a domino theory in the Middle East. You solve the Palestinian problem, and you're going to solve practically all of the problems in the Middle East. You will find that terrorism will almost cease to exist. You will find that people will go to work to build themselves economically, both Israelis and Palestinians. And more importantly than that, all of these Arab dictators will quit using the Palestinian issue and the Palestinian people as an excuse for their own political gains.
As the 11th hour approaches, David talks of Palestinians and terrorism. If war breaks out, and I'll have that tonight at 10. Marvin Zindler, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Marvin.
Marvin. Well, Saddam Hussein has threatened to attack Israel if war breaks out between the United States and Iraq.
And joining us now from our newsroom is the Israeli Vice-Consul, Martin Peled-Flax. Mr. Flax, if in fact Saddam Hussein does attack Israel, there are some who suggest that that would turn this conflict into a U.S.-Israeli versus the Arab world or Muslim world. Do you agree with that assessment, sir?
No, I do not. We've consistently maintained a low profile throughout this crisis in order not to divert the world's attention from the primary issue, the main issue, and that is Saddam Hussein's naked aggression against Kuwait. We are not spoiling for a fight. We've made it clear that we have no hostile intentions against Iraq. However, if Saddam Hussein should miscalculate in the way that he has consistently miscalculated since August 2nd of this year, if he should miscalculate and attack Israel, we have made it very clear that we will respond and respond forcefully.
And you're saying then that you will respond offensively, not just defend yourselves within your country?
If we are attacked, we will respond forcefully against Iraq. We are not looking for a fight with Iraq. We are not spoiling for a fight. But on the other hand, the basic responsibility that any democratically elected government has is to ensure the safety and security of the populace and to ensure the territorial integrity of its country. We will not be able to countenance any attack on our population or on our territory. And Saddam Hussein must know that very clearly.
I don't think anybody would argue with that, sir. But tell us, why don't you think, as many fear, that this would turn into the U.S.-Israel versus the Muslim world? Why isn't that going to happen, in your opinion?
I don't think it will happen because most of the components of the coalition realize that the primary danger to their very existence, that is Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the other nations in the Gulf, the primary danger to their very existence is Saddam Hussein. And I don't think that Saddam Hussein will be able to divert neither the world's attention at large to the Arab-Israel conflict, nor even those Arab components in the coalition.
Mr. Peled-Flax, thank you for taking time out today to be with us.
Well, thank you.
When we come back, we're going to have more from Dave Ward in the nation's capital.
And get a pen ready for some phone numbers that you may need to know.
When it comes to mice, a lot of people are in the dark. They just don't know that for every mouse you see, there may be 15 or 20 that you don't see, or that mice eat in many different places. A very unhealthy situation. Unless you put Decon Mouseproof in the many places mice feed, like behind the refrigerator, in back of the cupboard, and under the sink. So the mice will find it faster and end your problem faster. Decon Mouseproof gets mice right where they live.
I've always wanted the best for my children, but sometimes that just isn't enough. When my daughter was no longer able to cope with the stress at school and other peer pressure, we turned to Charter Hospital for help. What made Charter different? For me and my family, it was the people that worked there. They made the difference. Charter was there with answers. They can help you and your family, too.
Call Charter Hospital of Sugar Land, 980-4000.
Love that chicken from Popeye. It's carnival time now during Popeye's Mardi Gras celebration. Get 14 pieces of that original New Orleans-style chicken made with our secret blend of spices, all for just $7.99. Taste the good times at Popeye's, the official chicken of Mardi Gras. Love that chicken from Popeye. Start your celebration today for only $7.99 at Popeye. Now that's New Orleans, neighbor.
I've had some big ideas in my time. But the biggest idea I ever had was calling about the heat pump.
Call today.
We are now a little more than 4 hours away from the UN deadline for Iraq to get out of Kuwait. So let's go back to Washington, D.C. right now on our Dave Ward.
David, I would imagine that tensions are running very high there today.
Well, yes, it has been very much a tension-filled day. Earlier in this newscast, we showed you the anti-war protesters outside the White House. But that wasn't the only protest in Washington today.
Hey, hey, hi-ho, Saddam has gotta go. Hey, hey.
Meanwhile, across town, a group of young Republicans protested outside the Iraqi embassy, pointing to Iraqi atrocities in Kuwait and condemning Saddam's invasion. Former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark came out of the Iraq embassy after a meeting there and called for the impeachment of President Bush.
I think it's absolutely essential, as I said in a long press conference this morning, I'm not going through it again now, that we begin impeachment proceedings, because it seems pretty clear to me that there have been crimes against peace, which is a Nuremberg phrase that means you've engaged in acts for the purpose of committing aggressive war. And it began before August the 2nd, and we know it. And everything the president has done has been a move toward aggressive war.
Our last war was remembered at the Vietnam War Memorial today. It was quiet and peaceful at the wall. The men and women whose names are inscribed there are not forgotten. Houston area Congressman Tom DeLay, in looking at our current military power in the Persian Gulf, had a thought about Vietnam, and a Vietnam veteran agreed.
If we'd have had this kind of mobilization in Vietnam, we'd have probably won it.
Yeah, we would have. We would have been in and out instead of dragging it on. And if we do go to war in Kuwait now, I hope it is an in and out deal, and then bring the boys home.
Well, at this critical point in time, neither side appears to be wavering. We will check out the activities over at the White House tonight, and we'll have the latest for you coming up tonight on Eyewitness News at 10. Alan and Shara.
Dave, are you seeing congressmen very much in evidence? I mean, are they in their offices and fairly close to the Capitol?
Well, the House was in session today, but a lot of the members, as you know, are not here. Senator Phil Graham is remaining in Washington throughout this critical period. We spoke with Congressman Jack Brooks this afternoon, who had quite a lot to say about that, and I hope we can hear some of his comments tonight at 10 also. So yes, there are a number of them here.
Dave, let me ask you a personal opinion, and also from what you gather from our leaders. Where do you think we're going to be 24 hours from now? Do you think we'll be fully engaged in war?
Well, who knows? When this deadline appears here at midnight Washington time, of course, it'll be 8 o'clock in the morning over there, and all the military experts will tell you we will not attack at daytime. The attack will come at night, which means that they very well may attack at the daytime. Really, there is no way of knowing, and certainly no one is going to spell out any plans, military plans, to make them public before the actual event takes place. So who knows? Literally, at this point, anything can happen.
All right, Dave. Thank you. Across the country, an army of Red Cross volunteers is gearing up for an onslaught of calls from anxious people with relatives in Operation Desert Shield. Deborah Wrigley reports on a couple of volunteers here who say they're getting back as much as they're giving.
Down on your left. Okay. Down a little bit more on your left. A little more. Hold it right there.
Until yesterday, this was an empty Red Cross office. It's now the start of the phone bank for Operation Desert Shield.
A lot of people are just very anxious, need information about military policies and procedures.
Red Cross, this is Sammy. And this is one of the faces on the other end of the phone. Sammy Rutledge and her friend, Gracie Matai, both mothers of sons now in the desert.
So I feel like I'm doing something for him, too, by doing this.
You're going to make me start crying, Gracie, quit.
We've been doing a lot of crying.
They met in a support group and decided to volunteer for the military families section of the Red Cross.
It keeps me busy. I feel like that because I understand what people are going through right now, I have a lot to share.
If World War II had Rosie the Riveter, Desert Shield has mothers like these who forward messages, listen to hardships, and lend a shoulder to cry on.
If you don't have someone over there, then there's no way of you understanding. As much as people say, I understand, I comprehend what you're going through, they really and truly don't.
Gracie and Sammy know only too well, and they're sharing that with others, planning a homecoming in their spare moments.
To make sure that every soldier and every member of the service that comes back from this is treated with dignity and respect the way they should be.
They hope that homecoming will be soon. In the meantime, these mothers are fighting the war on the home front.
Just give us a call. We'll talk to you and we'll help you out.
Deborah Wrigley, 13 Eyewitness News.
What if, indeed, war breaks out in the Middle East? Is there any way that families can get information about their relatives serving in Operation Desert Shield? Well, here are some numbers that you may need to know. The first thing to understand is that during a military operation, it would be virtually impossible for you to call anywhere to get a day-to-day update on the whereabouts or activities of any particular soldier. For general information about a particular unit, you should call the stateside base that unit is usually assigned to. If you must get an emergency message to a soldier concerning, say, the birth of a child or a medical emergency, the American Red Cross is the place to go. And you should write down this number just in case. In Houston, call 526-8300. And after 4:30 in the afternoon, it's 526-0636. The Red Cross will ask for the following information: the soldier's first, middle, and last name, their social security number, their branch of service and rank, their military address, along with their APO or FPO zip code. Also, the nature of the emergency, the relative involved, the attending physician, hospital, and room number. As for casualties, they would first be treated in field MASH units and then transferred to Wiesbaden, Germany, and then to the States. In this part of Texas, most casualties will be going to Brooke Army Medical Center and Wilford Hall Medical Center in San Antonio. The next tier of medical facilities used will be VA hospitals, and the third tier would include community hospitals. And depending on the nature of their injury, they could go to any one of 62 Houston area hospitals. Now, if you'd like some information regarding family support groups, you can call these numbers set up by the military, 1-800-542-9254 or 1-703-325-8310. If you would like to write a letter of support to any soldier serving in Operation Desert Shield, write to any serviceman or woman, Operation Desert Shield, APO, New York, 098.